Hello everybody, welcome. As I'm just going to get this live going just to make sure that I can see you and hear you, make sure that... Where are we? So if you can see me and hear me, please jump on, send me some love hearts, send me some likes, just so I know that you are there with me. You can see someone's jumped on, so if you can send me a message or pop up some, hey Andrew, yay! I can see people jumping on, yay, there we go. Good morning everybody, welcome. I am so excited to be here with you on this beautiful, put that down. I am so excited to be here with you all. It is a very special day, as I will get into as we get this show on the road. But as always, as we wait for everyone to jump on, what are you grateful for? What is making you light up and feel good today? For me, I am so grateful to be here. I am so grateful for all the love and support that has been shown my way along this incredible journey. And I am so grateful, as always, for my two beautiful girls, my greatest teachers in life. So love for you all to just pop up. What are you grateful for on this gorgeous morning? So today we are talking all things love languages, and the love languages of children in particular and families, because this is something that's very close and dear to my own heart, and it has been such an incredible part of my own journey and my own parenting adventure, and it's something that I feel really passionate about. And as we get into the content, you'll probably hopefully understand a bit more about why. So I probably, before I jump into the content, should introduce myself to you, to those that don't know me. I am a mum of two beautiful girls. I am an osteopath. I am a very proud ambassador for Happiness Co, and have worked as a coach and a mentor, and now doing speaking over the last 3 years with Happiness Co as we've grown and expanded. And today is a very exciting day for me, because it is the day that we are actually officially launching our Happy Hearts program, which is a parenting program, but a program designed for anyone that has children in their lives that they would love to form a deeper connection with and help build tools and emotional awareness and resilience for. So why is that important, and and this pillar today that I'm sharing with you is actually one of the pillars in the Happy Hearts program, and as I mentioned, one very close to my own heart, because this understanding of how my children give and receive love has something that's helped our relationship and our connection and our bond deepen and really strengthen over the course of their childhood. They're 9 and 10, and this is something that starts from the very beginning of life, love languages. But before we go into children and relationships with children, the relationship we have with ourselves it sets the tone for the relationship that we have with everybody else in our lives. And understanding what we need to feel loved, to feel safe, to feel like we are whole and complete. This is the key to understanding how we give our love, but then also how we receive it. And it's only when we have this awareness for ourselves that we can firstly show others in our lives how we need to be loved, or what we want and need to feel loved and to feel safe and to feel secure in our attachments and in our relationship with others in our lives. So that's so key. So once we have that understanding of ourselves, then we can actually spread that awareness into the relationships we have with the people in our lives. And if we think about what the meaning of unconditional is, what is unconditional love? Unconditional means I love and accept you no matter what. So it is very challenging for anyone else to know how to do that for us if we don't understand what that is for ourselves. And this is something that I've found, in particular children, this is what, in my parenting journey, this is what they've taught me the true meaning of unconditional. No matter no matter what you do or say or what your behavior's like, I am here and I love you and I'm always going to be there for you. And at times this is not always easy. Sometimes that is so challenging when we're being triggered or we're being affected by behavior, things that they're doing. But understanding that a trigger is an emotional reaction in ourselves to a behavior, whether it be our children or anyone else in our lives that's causing that emotional response. Knowing what that trigger is, it's helping us understand ourselves. It's another opportunity to learn about what it is that is inside of us that might be affected because we're not okay with that part of ourselves. So the love languages is such an incredible piece of work by Dr. Greg Chapman, and a lot of this work is based on what his research and his books and what he shared, and extending from that. It's not just the love languages that we have with ourselves, with our partners and with our children, but starting with ourselves. When we think about our 3 basic human needs, they are to love, to be loved, and to belong. And generally, with most breakdowns in relationships or problems with feeling unappreciated or unheard, there's a breakdown in how love's being shown to us and how it's being received. And this is the thing with the love languages. If you give love in a certain way but receive it in a different way, there can be a mismatch, and that's where these feelings of disconnection can occur. So that thing that we seek with others, that deep-seated connection, is something that comes from understanding what it is that we need to receive it and how it is that we give it. So before we keep going, good morning everybody. Hi, thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to see you all, and hopefully this will help shed some light in an area, as I mentioned, that I am very passionate about, and it is something that has formed one of the pillars that we've put together in our Happy Hearts program, because understanding what that love is and that love that our children need. Because if you think about inside, I think of it in here in my heart space, our love bucket, we need to be able to fill that bucket, and our children need to have a full bucket, that place where we pour that love in so that they can feel strong, they can feel confident, they can feel that sense of worth. And that's something that's such an important part of our parenting journey, is to be able to instill that sense, because it is a lifelong thing that we are teaching them. So hopefully then it shapes the way they feel about themselves in their own relationships as they navigate childhood, as they get into their teenage years, and the love languages in particular that we teach them through their childhood years really form the basis of what they seek and the ways that they seek love in their teenage years if they've not received it earlier on, if we haven't shaped and taught them what it is to feel loved and supported unconditionally. And then that can go on to affect their relationships for the rest of their lives. And that's something that is so true in my own life when I look back and reflect at how early on those things that the way I needed to receive love, that maybe my parents were showing me but I didn't understand that's what was happening, then affected me in so many of my relationships down the track. So if any of you have done any work with us at Happiness Co, the love languages is something that we talk about a lot. So if any of you are aware of what your love languages are, I'd love for you to post them up into the group. Do you know, going into this, before we get into how our children need to be, how we need to teach this with our children, do you know what you need to feel loved? Do you know what your love languages are? Because going into this webinar, hopefully with an awareness of your own love languages, it'll help you think about the people in your lives, especially the children, and how it is that they might be needing, how they may be showing you that they love you, how they may be expressing their love to you and to the other people in your lives. Because children have an incredible way of teaching us things without us even realizing, unless we're aware, and that awareness of what they're doing, what they're saying, and how they're behaving is such an incredibly powerful way of them sharing with us what they need. I'll just check. Rianda says, Ellie says acts of service. Rianda says physical touch. Ben says words of affirmation and touch. And Andrew says quality time and physical touch. And these are, I know all these people on here that have answered those questions. They are aware of those love languages, and awareness precedes change. And if we're not aware of these things, it's very hard to really, truly appreciate when love is coming in, that's what's actually happening. So as we show our children this unconditional love and acceptance, we help them to understand and connect with them at a really deep, conscious, emotional level. And if we're knowing those things for ourselves, we can do that with our children. So this is the other interesting thing with the love languages for children is that they can be different across a family group. So if you think of a child and parent relationship, a parent to parent relationship, and how the siblings interact with each other, love languages are different for everybody. And when the love languages, say 4 different people in one family have different love languages, you can see how there can be real breakdowns in communication and connection if they aren't the same and they aren't being communicated. So it is so very important that we teach our children all the ways, all the 5 different ways from the very beginning, all the different love languages, so that then they go on by the age of 4 to recognize their primary love language, the one that they then go on to have as what they give to us and what we show them as the way that they feel loved and secure in themselves. So there are 5, as I mentioned. The first one is physical touch. And if we think about babies, before they even understand what the word love is, we're showing them that love by the kissing, the cuddling, the physical contact. It's very instinctive and intuitive as parents to reach and nurture and really have that physical connection with our children. So physical touch is an important one, and it's often the first one that we teach our children from the very beginning. The children that feel like physical touch is their way of feeling loved and accepted and nurtured, they're the ones that love the kisses and the cuddles. They love that close physical contact as they grow, to sit on our lap and to have a cuddle while we read a book. They're the ones that often will reach for our hand when we're sitting next to them or if we're going for a walk. This is a really important one. They need to feel that physical closeness so that they feel that love and connection to themselves and to yourself. And often they will show that they give us that physical contact when they need it. It's often when they're feeling scared or worried that our children will often show us what they need in terms of feeling loved and safe. Rianda says, my daughter is physical touch. And it's interesting, I'll ask you, Rianda, if your love language is that physical touch? If it's not physical touch, it can be quite challenging. I remember early on when my first was a baby, a very young baby, she was quite sick and she had reflux. Physical touch is one of my love languages, but in those early months, she really struggled with being cuddled and embraced as you normally would with a little baby, and in that position, she really could not be like that because of how much discomfort she was in. And it was something that really triggered a lot of emotion in me as a mum, especially as a new mum, because you're trying to soothe and you're trying to cuddle this baby that's uncomfortable, but they're pushing away and they're rejecting. Well, she wasn't rejecting my love, but at times it felt like a rejection of love, a rejection of nurturing, a rejection of what I was trying to do to soothe her. And as time went on, I started to really understand what was happening. She was in severe physical pain. She was in discomfort, and my way of showing her love was not what she needed in that time. So as she's grown and as our relationships developed and through those toddler years, I really started to understand that sometimes she's like the kitten, like the cat. Like she comes and goes in and out as she needs or wants that love. And sometimes when I want to show that love for her, I have to find other ways because she might not want that physical contact. So it might, as I speak, you might think of children that are like this. They're so squirmy. They don't sit in the cuddle and the embrace and the love. Whereas the opposite, my second, she was just this chubby, squishy, cuddly, smoochy little baby that just could stay in your arms forever. She literally, the first years of her life, she spent in my arms or on my hip. And for me, I felt a real sense of connection to her from the very beginning that was so different to my first. And it wasn't that my first daughter didn't love me or we didn't have a connection, a deep connection, but it just took understanding physical contact is my love language. That's maybe at that time in her life, it wasn't what she needed or what she could tolerate. And that as she's grown, she's become so much more physically affectionate, and there's none of those things that were happening early in life that were affecting her. And this is the interesting thing with love languages. They can change through life. And this is why it's so important that we show our children all the love languages as they grow, because we're teaching them how to give and receive love, and then they can take on as they grow, as they develop, as their personalities change as well, and as their needs change through their lives. So if we think first one, physical contact. The second one is words. There are 3 ways that words can be expressed. They are of affection, praise, and encouragement. So the 3 of them hold different weight, but the words of affirmation is those kids that love to hear the words and be told the words of encouragement. Say encouragement, it instills courage. So I love to see how brave you were where you went out onto that basketball court even though you were feeling nervous. They need those words, and it's not always the words that we speak. Sometimes it's written word. The second one is affection. So these are where you focus on them, focus on who they are. I love how your eyes light up when you smile. These kids really take the words and they are so special to them. And often kids will talk about through later on in their teenage and even adult years, they remember specific things that you have said to them. And if words of affirmation is their love language, they really hold that dear to them and remember it, because it helps them fill that love bucket, that feeling of feeling loved, connected, accepted, understood, all the things that we all want, but that are so particularly important when we're nurturing these strong connections with our children. The third one is praise. So praise is an important one because we help them to focus on the effort that they've put into something and not on being perfect. So if we think about, say, the toddler learning to walk, they toddle, boom, they fall, and we give them so much encouragement. We give them, the clapping and the cheering, and even when they fall, we still give them so much love and encouragement. And this is something that we do so easily with young children, but if you think about with older kids, when they fail or when things don't quite go so wrong, for some reason something shifts, and unless we're aware, we don't necessarily clap and cheer their mistakes in a way to encourage them. So this need for perfection is something that I've been guilty of in my own life, and having that understanding that perfectly imperfect is actually perfect, and applying that rule to our kids and helping them learn that for themselves. Because in the trying and the failing, or the supposed failing, and in the encouragement we give them for that effort to not fail, or to try and to try again when things don't go right, is so important for these kids that need these words of affirmation, these words of affection, praise, and encouragement. They need that to feel that we love them and we support them and we are there for them no matter what. That unconditional piece, this is why the words for the kids where this is their primary love language are so important. This can be things like giving them little nicknames. This can be things like little love notes that we put in their lunch boxes. This can be little text messages that we might send them through the day to say, I'm thinking about you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. So the words are really powerful and strong for children that need words of affirmation as a primary love language. Thirdly, quality time. So this is that time, that undistracted time where we are focused without anything else on that little person that needs us and that wants that time with us. These are the kids that are often tugging on our arm when we're trying to do something else, saying, Mummy, come play with me. Come and can I show you this? Mummy, I want to do this with you. These are the kids that really just don't want anything else but just to sit with you and share a story or an idea or to read a book with you. They're the ones that love to come with you on the boring jobs that we think is boring, but just crave that time where they are just undistractedly yours and you can focus that time and love with them. A really important one with this quality time is that getting down to their level, that eye to eye at any time with kids, but in particular the ones that need that quality time, that connection. You know, the eyes are the seat to the soul, where we really look into their eyes and listen to what they're saying. They feel like they have our attention, our undivided attention, and that we are focused on them. That is what helps them to really feel secure and loved and nurtured by that time that you're giving to them. Even silly things that you find to laugh about. Something like that is so simple and so easy to do. The quality time can be going on a date with one of your children, if that's what their love language is, but it's also just finding something silly to laugh at, or dancing around in the kitchen, playing together, where you are theirs for that point in time. And this an important part of the quality time, and as kids grow, especially younger kids, you have to go to where they are. So when they're babies, we sit on the floor and we play with them. As toddlers, we go out into the garden and do what it is that they want us to do. As they become older, and I know one of my older daughter, she loves a chat. She just wants a conversation, and she's 10, and having that time one-on-one, which sometimes can be really challenging, especially when you have more than one child. Or in my case, being a single mum, I can't always give my undivided time to each of my children one at a time. It's something I really try and build into our day and into the time that we have together, but it's not always possible. So grabbing those moments in time doesn't always have to be long, but I can tell my older one, Lily, when she wants to have a chat, there's that look in their eye, and you know that, and quality time is one of her love languages and also mine. But she just wants to get in, and she wants to really break things down and pick my brain, and I love it. It's amazing. As they grow, my children, it really blows me away, the things that they're drawn to and want to talk about. So really being conscious, because they're always showing us these things. They're always showing us what they need. It's just a matter of us being able to accept that and know, okay, that is what's happening here. Because sometimes when we're busy and we're doing something else, it can seem like, oh, can you just let me finish what I'm doing? But really, it's their way of trying to connect in, saying, I need you, I need to feel connected to you. The fourth one is gifts. The gifts, and these can be big material expensive things, but more often than not, it's nothing to do with that. The gifts are the child that picks the flower for you and hands it to you. The gifts are the present that they make for you in art class and they can't wait to give you. The gifts can be things like a little written note that they've put all their time and their energy into making for you to show you that they love you. And some kids, as we've mentioned, this is a giving and a receiving thing. If their love language is gifts, and often they do the little cutouts and show you something in a magazine that they would really love. So this is not necessarily a material expensive thing, but it is something that when gifts are an important way of children expressing their need for love or giving that, then you really do know, because they're often the ones that are picking things up and handing you things as they go. And my little one was very much she was constantly giving me things as a little child, a button she fell on the floor or a sequin she found, and she'd get so excited about these little treasures that seem so small and insignificant in our adult world, but to a small child they can be so important. And again, another way of them connecting with us. The fifth one is acts of service. So these are things that you do to show love. So they can be things like helping them practice for a sport, carrying them to bed and tucking them in rather than saying, come on, off you pop to bed when they're very little. They can be making our children a special surprise meal that you know that they love. It's those acts, those things that we do, sometimes even unknowingly as a parent, that really children treasure and they really appreciate and understand. So just knowing what those acts of service are and how important they are, because again, it's another way of them showing you, that's how I need to feel my love from you, Mum. That you doing those things for me helps me feel like you're there for me and you're thinking of me. So there are 5 love languages: our physical touch, our words of affirmation, our quality time, our gifts, and our acts of service. So as we're talking, and I can see there's a few people on here that do have kids, and I've just have a look through the comments. Are your children's love languages different to your own? And are you, as I've been talking, is it triggering things in you that make you think about, oh, my child's love language is this, and I thought it might have been that. So what are they? And here we go. Randa says, yes, you're the same. Sasha says, my son is definitely like your first, rarely wants to stop for a cuddle. Yeah, the wiggly worm. Okay, thank you. Hi, Katrina. No problem at all. As a foster mum, they're all very different and unique. Thanks, Danielle. And that's the thing. They are so different. Kids are so uniquely different in their own ways. And they're so different at expressing the way that they give and they receive love as well. So it's just having that awareness is so, so important as a parent and as a carer. And even this applies to teachers as well, because that connection, and it's a different sort of connection to a parent, but in a classroom, there's so many studies that show that connection to a child is directly related to learning. So if a child feels connected to you, they're more open to learning, they're more open to understanding what it is that you're trying to share. And so often our kids are spending so much more time in a classroom with a teacher than often we get to spend with them ourselves at home. So understanding these love languages for carers and for teachers and people outside of even the family unit is so, so important, because as kids grow, they need to know that they have a network of people around them that love them, that accept them, that understand them, that will be there for them. And it's when they feel that connection that you know that they will come to you in their times of trouble. And something that's always stayed with me that Steve Biddip shared at a talk many years ago, he said, the time and attention we put into our children in their primary school years, in those formative years, it shapes our relationship in the teenage years. And something that Dr. Greg Chapman also talks about relating to that, he says if our children's needs are not met, if they don't feel that love, even though we might be sharing it, but if it's not in the way they need it, they can feel unloved, they can feel unworthy. And if they're not getting that, if that bucket's not being filled in those early years, then they seek it elsewhere in their teenage years. And as a mum of 2 girls, that's quite frightening, and it's something that's really is very apparent in my own mind, in making sure that they do feel loved and accepted, and they do feel like I am there for them no matter what. Because if anything goes wrong down the track in their teenage years, I really hope the work that I'm putting into them and our relationship and that connection and that nurturing will mean that they will come to me if anything happens down the track, or that they also have people around them that they love and are connected to that they will go to because they feel safe to. Not to their friends, not to a boy 5 years older than them, but to the people that hopefully will love and protect and nurture them in the way that they have their best interests at heart. And this is why it's so, so important that we really do understand these love languages for ourselves, for our partners, for our families, for our children, and why it across the board is such an important thing in all of our lives, and that sense of being connected, of being conscious of what that love looks like and feels like, so that we do know, growing up, they do know that they are worthy, they are loved, and they are accepted. I'm just going to check the comments. Katrina says, I read the love languages for hubby and I think I can definitely relate this to the kids. Yeah, absolutely. This applies to all the relationships that we have in our lives with our significant people. And that's, if Greg Chapman talks about this book, he's written books on partners, children, teenagers, and it's a universal language, this love language, the love languages. Katrina says it definitely applies to teachers. There are some kids that need that pat on the shoulder, and others I would never do that because I would definitely make them uncomfortable. And it's so true. Like this, it's being aware and having that awareness and understanding. And it's so hard in the classrooms. I really feel for teachers because there are so many things around touch now that are and aren't allowed. And unfortunately, for some of the kids that really need that pat in the back, they're not receiving that. So they might not feel like they're doing a good job. They might not feel like their teacher's seeing their effort. So understanding how kids receive that and what they need to feel like they're doing a good job really is so important. Jackie says, as a swimming teacher, I find that connection so important to build the trust for children to feel safe in the environment that can be scary for some. And I love that, Jackie. It's so true. And this is not just in a swimming environment where it is, but that you say these words, trust and safety. That's what children need to feel safe and to feel loved. You need to build that trust. And if they feel connected to the adult in their life that's showing them their way of understand, that saying, I see you, I hear you, I'm here for you, so important. Sasha says, quality time is definitely my son's love language. I didn't know this before. I couldn't name it. Oh, learning heaps. Oh, that's awesome. I'm so happy. That makes me really happy that you're understanding, and hopefully as we keep talking, it helps, help you, oh God, I can't speak today, help you think of the ways that your children might be asking for that love. Yeah, exactly, Rebecca. The 3 questions. Am I seen? Am I worthy? And do I matter? And this isn't just kids. This is all of us. This is life, isn't it? Those 3 things. If you feel those 3 things, then you feel confident. You feel safe. You feel loved. And you feel like you can do anything. Because it's based on those 3 things that true resilience comes from. That true strength comes from. It's that feeling that no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay in this. So I'm just going to go over just one more time 5 ways, if you haven't already picked up as we've been talking, on how to discover your own child's love languages if you're still not sure. And sometimes it can be a little bit cloudy and it can take a bit of time to really truly grasp what it is that they need for their love languages to be filled. So how do they express their love to you? How do they express that to other people in their lives? What do they ask you for most often? And what do they complain about the most? Sorry, it was 4, not 5. So often in the complaints, it's that I'm not getting what I need. And it's the complaints that often can be the biggest clues to what it is that they actually need. As I've mentioned a few times, our kids, they tell us what they need. It's just tuning in and knowing that's what it is they're asking for. They're not whinging and complaining. There's never bad behavior. There's never, I really truly believe this, and I've seen this over and over in my time as an osteopath, where I work with families and children, and I hate the saying they're naughty. There's no bad behavior. There's no naughty behavior. There's always a reason why. It's a cry for help. It's a cry for, I'm not getting what I need. And back to those 3 questions that Beck put up. Am I seen? Am I worthy? And do I matter? And more often than not, it's directly linked back to those 3 things and them needing to feel that. So I hope that makes sense. But I really feel strongly about that. Our kids are incredible communicators, but we are their mirrors and we are their teachers as much as they are our teachers. So really being able to communicate it ourselves and show that ourselves teaches them how to do that for themselves as well. And really being mindful of the words that we're using. And as we mentioned, one of the love languages is words of affirmation. But this is a really key one, because this one for all kids, it teaches them you know, that little voice inside that we hear, that inner dialogue, that is very much shaped by the words that we're using and what we're saying to them. So even if it's not, words of affirmation is not their key love language, it's still such an important one developmentally, especially with younger children as they grow. I'm hoping all this is making sense. If you have any questions, I'd love to stay on and do a little bit of a Q&A. So if you have any questions, do post them up. I hope what I've shared with you really helps you understand the importance of the love languages, as I've mentioned quite a few times now, of yourself, of your family members, of your partner, and how a breakdown in connection is often related to a misunderstanding of these love languages, or not receiving it in the way that we need it, or not being able to give it in the way that we need it if the other person's love language is different to our own. Randa says, yes, amazing. Oh, thank you. I hope that is coming through. It's been such a pleasure being here with you all this morning. I really hope that I've added some value and helped you create a better and deeper understanding and awareness around the importance of these love languages. As I mentioned at the start, today is Happy Hearts Day. We are launching it. This is a project from my own heart, and I've worked very hard with the help of Jules and our incredible team to put it together. So as a gift from us, it is free to jump in and do the program. This is my contribution. This is my way of giving back. This is our way of saying thank you for all your love and support over the last 3 years for Happiness Co. This is I guess something that I feel everyone should have access to. Everyone should be able to learn more about these things. And at a time like this, now more than ever, where so many of these love languages we can't even feel just from day-to-day life. I'm in Melbourne, I still can't hug my parents. For 40 years, I have never, one day in my life up until this point, not been able to hug and kiss my parents hello and goodbye. And that is one of my love languages, and also one of theirs. And I can, even for myself, even with all the awareness, even with all the tools, it still has been triggering and stirring things in me that need and want for that close physical connection to my parents that I can't do because of the nature of what's happening. So as I mentioned, now more than ever, so important that we can be here for as many people as we can be. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for all your love and support, for being here with us this morning. Okay, Rihanna's got a question. My daughter says you don't love me. I'm not sure if it's her being dramatic or seeking something more. Yeah, often when it's a cry for I need to feel loved, I need to be told, or it's really, I think with her, maybe trying, you can focus on each love language and spend a week of doing just one at a time and really bombarding her in that particular love language and seeing which one really clicks if you're not sure exactly which one that is. And sometimes kids, they say things but they don't actually mean it. It doesn't come from the same emotional awareness and understanding that we have as adults. Often it is just a cry for, I just need you to show me that I'm loved, I'm seen, I'm heard, I'm understood. All those things, those 3 questions pretty much really do solve so many of those questions, solve those answers as to what is it that she's seeking. But it sounds like she's seeking connection from you, and I'd love to, message me, let me know how that goes if you focus in on those different love languages and really show her each of those really strongly. If you'll know which one clicks because you'll really respond to that. So if nobody else has any questions for me, or if you don't feel comfortable popping them into here, please private message me, send me a message in the chat or privately, and I'm more than happy to answer them. If there's anything else I can do, please reach out to me. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here, for supporting us, and thank you. Love and light from me. Bye everybody.